recording. I'll just start out by saying I'm recording so that these will be viewable for those who are joining asynchronously. So I'm just right off the bat saying that. If you are, if you want to join with your cameras on, I encourage it. Don't feel forced. This is a safe space. We're meeting you where you're at. So if you feel more comfortable at the moment with your cameras off, that's completely fine. But encourage you to turn your camera on because this is public speaking and you want to be able to like get used to these things slowly. So let me share my screen. I'm gonna share. This is different than portion of screen.
Someone had a question.
Yes, Anya.
No, it's Michelle. He was saying that I have a question.
Ah,
So,
okay.
so this is Introduction to Leadership, and then we're also doing the public speaking.
Yes. So
Okay, great. Thank
yes. You're welcome. So
and thank you, O'Neill.
yes, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I was setting up. Okay, so people, okay, yes. Welcome to Introduction to Leadership. I'll jump in with the agenda. The agenda is pretty much similar to between each of the workshops. There are 5 total within this module. We usually start out with the guest speaker that will help connect you with resources on campus or off campus to help you excel in your goals. For this particular session, we'll be going over class requirements, which will basically let you know like what you need in order to graduate with a certificate and a digital badge at the end of upon completion. Then we go into the leadership module. So we discuss the 5 exemplary practices of leadership, and then we'll take a little break and then go into public speaking. And then if there's any time at the end, I'll be sharing more additional services, resources, services, if there's any additional questions, kind of like an open forum. So yeah, that's pretty much the agenda for the next 5 weeks of how this will go. So on that note, we will start with our special guest. We have somebody, Kamaria, who works in the she does a lot on campus as well. She's an SGA senator, but she's mainly here to talk about today the Lehman Food Bank and also CUNY Cares because it's something that will help all students. So when you hear a lot of these resources, not just thinking about yourself, but think about your peers. Like, you know, if you hear something of how this can help, these are free services to help you succeed. So on that note, Kim, are you there?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kamara Brown. Emily did me a great service of that introduction. I am a SGA senator. I'm also a CUNY Cares advocate, and I'm the president of the Student Athlete Advisory Committee here on campus. Today, we'll be talking about CUNY Cares and what we have to offer the students on campus. So most importantly, what CUNY Cares does is offer students resources on campus for the essential needs being food, housing, immigration services, mental health, and all that jazz. Basically, we also get you guys connected to career services, as you can see on that flyer. I'm not sure if you guys know about the food pantry on campus, but that's one of the hot spots on campus right now. We're located in the old gym building, room 015, and CUNY Cares is also in that same building on the 3rd floor, room 302. And yeah, if you guys have any questions about what CUNY Cares can offer you, you could unmute or even put it in the chat. And I will also put a link so that you guys can get connected with the navigators in our program. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So does anyone have any questions on CUNY Cares or on the food bank? And I can also talk a little bit.
I just want y'all to know I'm also here to help with CUNY Kids. I'm an advocate as well. So if you have any further questions, if you don't see Kim, you can holler at me. My name is Brittany.
Awesome. Thank you, Brittany. I see O'Neill has hand raised.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How is your experience working in that service?
Hi, my experience so far has been great because it's offering me the opportunity to speak with a lot of students on campus, and it's like a familiar face, and I'm able to like connect with the students, and I could see when they need help, and when they get that help, them having that smile on their face also makes me happy as well.
Thank you so much. And thank you for help everybody. And thank you for help the people in Lehman College. That's really something important.
I want to echo that too. I put in the chats too how to make an appointment for the Lehman College food pantry. And then also we have on Instagram, the food bank. So this actually can tell you like the days that they're open. And let me see if I can pull up this flyer. So this particular flyer kind of explains a little bit of like, you know, how it runs. They're open. And this is completely free. Like, and one of those things also like breaking down those barriers, because I was a student that did not like, it's just like, I'm not working. I don't know if I could prove if, you know, that I need this service, and they don't ask you for any of that. You just have to be a Lehman student and you get free food essentially. So you make an appointment to pick up groceries. You could pick up groceries once a week. And these are their hours, Wednesdays and Thursdays. And you make the appointment on Setmore, which is one of the links that I just posted. Or you could get Grab and Go, which is like a snack. So like we all know, like the campus doesn't really have good for food wise. So you can go and grab a snack there for free, essentially. Also, I want to highlight the food pantry on campus. They accept donations, they accept volunteers. So one of the requirements for if you choose to do it, it's an optional requirement, is volunteering. So if you want to volunteer, this is a place that you can potentially volunteer with on campus. So they also have a career closet. Just want to point that out too, because you know, we're trying to have like, you know, provide opportunities for you to get success, you know, outside of college. So if you don't have any like nice professional clothes, they actually have like a closet where you can like borrow, or they'll sometimes give out clothes. So you can look nice, you know, for interviews and things like that. So it's a great service that we have on campus. And a little bit more about CUNY Cares too is like you actually like I've heard a lot of students that have like, you know, they're homeless or things like that. And like CUNY Cares can connect you with resources. So if it's like, oh my goodness, emergency situation, like, you know, I'm homeless, what do I do? Connect them to CUNY Cares. So yeah. Any additional questions before? Like you can write in the chat, you can, you
Oh,
know,
I would like to
yeah,
I'd like to add on to what you said.
yes.
We also offer help with housing. Um, a lot of the support comes from Housing Connect. We also help students with their vouchers for housing. But one thing I want to mention is we do not help students like find the housing or help with rent, like renting the house, but we can help with like a one-shot deal or anything like that. But that's what we help with as well. Housing is one of the most important things that we help with.
Thank you. Thank you for that clarification too. All right. If you guys think of any questions in the meantime, you can feel free to put it in the chat or whatnot. Because I'm sure Kim, you're staying with us for the remainder of the session.
I have practice in like
No
15
problem.
minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. All right. On that note, if you have any additional questions later on, we'll connect you guys. So yeah. So thank you so much for coming and talking about this amazing service for students. So very much appreciated.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you too.
Have a
Thank
good day.
you.
Okay, awesome. So on that note, we will be moving on to our next section. So requirements for this class. So if you have not joined already, please join the Google Classroom. I put the QR code there. There's the class code. This is where asynchronously people can, watch the videos and do the attendance and whatnot. But I also encourage those who are live, attending live, that they also join, because there will be resources and announcements and things like that. Brittany, I see your hand raised.
Yes, I just wanted to be sure this is an actual class or no, this is a training, just a training for leadership, people coming on campus that want to be leadership.
Yeah, it's not a credit bearing class, but it's an instructional training class, if that makes sense. Like for like you get certified, you get a digital badge after and things like that. So, but there's no credit attached to it. It's more
Okay,
like a
and
workshop.
what does it mean, like a digital badge? What happens with that?
Oh, yes. I'll show that in a moment. Like it's something though that you can connect to your LinkedIn profile, so that if you have any potential employers or internships, like it actually shows you did this program.
Cool, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Okay, I just tried to join the Google Class,
Hmm.
but it says class not found.
Class not found.
I include the link in the chat. Can you try with that one?
Okay.
Thank you so much, O'Neill.
You're welcome.
And so yeah, so in order to find, like, I know Google Classroom too can be like a little bit confusing for those who haven't used it too. So like when you first go into the Google Classroom, you'll see like stream, but then a lot of the stuff that's posted is more in the classwork section. So you'll actually see the breakdown. The class workshops will become live after our sessions. So there's nothing in the classwork right now, the workshop, but after the session, I'll upload these videos, and then the attendance will also be uploaded and things like that. But you'll also see like opportunities and things like that. Everything's like in sections in the classwork. And then, so these are also your graduation requirement checklists. So one of them is to complete the pre-leadership self-evaluation at the beginning of this course. So that I actually took out also QR code. There's a link, which I can take and put in the chat. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Christian. And then, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. My leaders. So fill this out sometime before the next workshop. You could do it now if you want, but just save it on the side. It will also be in the Google Classroom, so that you can fill that out. And some of the other things is you need to attend 4 out of the 5 workshops. So at the end of each of these workshops, if you're attending live, I will be putting the attendance link. I'm not taking attendance as per who's in here. You have to fill out a reflection of what you learned during the session, and that counts as your attendance. And for those who are joining asynchronously, you watch the video and you also fill out the attendance form and fill out the reflection. I'll go a little bit into how the attendance works for asynchronous and synchronous in a moment, but for the purpose of this class for the checklist. We'll continue on with there'll also be a post-leadership self-evaluation. So we actually want to see how you, your pre-evaluation and your post-evaluation compare with how much you've learned. And that's a requirement that is not available right now. That will be posted towards the end of the class, and we'll make announcements of like, okay, your post-evaluation is up and going. Please fill this out. So that's another requirement. You don't have to worry about that right now. It's very similar to the pre-evaluation. And then that's for the basic. For the digital badge, you'll get 2 digital badges if you complete that section. It's the Intro to Leadership. That's 1 digital badge. And then you'll also get a digital badge for public speaking. If you do this optional next section for the additional, you get additional leadership pin. You have to have 5 documented hours of volunteering. So it's not mandatory to do the volunteering. We know you're busy. We know that you're putting a lot into even just being here, but we highly encourage you do volunteering as well, because it does help you build leadership qualities through experience. So to get the very minimum of the leadership pin, you have to do 5 hours. If you want to get, we're making it, this is very new. We're having a digital badge for volunteering as well. It's the first semester we're doing this. So if you do volunteering for 10 hours, you'll get a digital badge for your LinkedIn. So there's a possibility of you getting 3 digital badges through this workshop. And by mandated hours, as it says in the description, what that means is that you have to document it. So if you're volunteering at the food bank, for example, you have to go in, there's a volunteer sheet, and you'll have whoever is the director or manager there and just sign off, yes, this person volunteered on this day for this many hours, and they sign it off. And then towards the end, once you get all of your hours completed, 5, 10, whatever you do volunteer, then you would send that in for documentation, and then you qualify for that. I'll talk a little bit more about volunteering on the volunteering slide. So for attendance, as mentioned, there are, this is a very flexible class. I wanted to make it very easy for people to, because everyone's busy. So you can attend live, like some of you are now. You join into the Zoom. You have the schedule. Workshop 1 is Monday, September 16th, and so on. Or you could join asynchronously, where these recordings will be then uploaded into Google Classroom. It'll be in the classroom section. And as you can see on this example, this is from a past semester workshop 4, and it'll have the date. And it will also have the recording, the attendance, where you write your reflection, and any additional resources that are given throughout the workshop. An important
So
thing
even
is,
if you attend the Zoom, it's another, after we finish, there is something we have to click on to put a reflection?
I will be putting in the chat your attendance sheet, which you just write, very quick thing, I learned this or that. Anything that was like, it's not a big thing. Like it could be like a few sentences, just to see that because there's a lot of people that actually register for this workshop. There's like 100 people. So it's just to see that you got something out of it. Like, oh, I learned, that for public speaking, there's a tip where I mention like, there's always tips of like, oh, look people in the eye. But if you're shy, that's a little hard to do. So what I like to do is I look past them. And there's an audience, people don't really realize that. So, and it's just as effective. So like, if that resonates with you and you're just like, oh, snap, that makes sense. Like, that's something I learned. Like you could put that in your reflection. So it's not like essay form or anything like that. It's just to see that you were here, that you got something out of it. So it's very quick. So, but yeah. And there's reflections for both of them. And so the live one, and then also the asynchronous one. So, and that'll be posted in Google Classroom. You can mix and match these. So say, for example, you like the live sessions because you like to engage and you like to ask questions and you like to, you know, participate in some of the activities. But you can't make one of the workshops. You don't necessarily have to be like absent for that. You can watch that online asynchronously and do the attendance that way, and you'll still get that attendance. So this is really flexible for whatever works best for you guys. Are there any additional questions on this before I move on? Because I know that this is like a little bit like new. So-
Hi, hello.
yes.
Yes, I just want to know if this information is also going to be on the Google Classroom so we don't forget what we had to do.
Yes, yes, it will be. Yeah, I'm gonna thank you for that question. It will be, all the slides will be posted as well as the recording, any additional like links and things like that if you want to go back to it. Everything will be provided. Yeah.
Also, thank you.
You're very welcome. O'Neill, I see your hand raised.
Xiomara say exactly my question.
Oh, awesome. Okay, so I'm glad that was answered too. All right, cool. So, moving on from attendance, I talked about the volunteering a little bit. So on Google Classrooms, there's a section that mentions volunteering. There is a volunteer sheet. I do remember like the semester's a little different of the time. Just we'll still accept it because the date will be congruent with what we have now. But you could print that out. We accept digital sheets as well. So if you have somebody that wants to sign it digitally, that's fine. So for the attendance, for the volunteering, you actually have until after the workshops end if you want to complete this. So the deadline for this is Sunday, November 3rd in the evening, right before midnight. So so you can concentrate, you know, whatever works for you. You can concentrate on your stuff now and then the workshops now and then even afterwards. If you feel like you want to do this, you can do it. You could do the volunteering all in one day if that works for you. You could, you know, break it up into different sections, whatever really works for you. So there,
I invited one of my club officers to join this leadership. They was interested, but I'm not sure if they had a chance to RSVP. Is that okay?
yeah, that's totally fine, especially because this is because we're making this very flexible. Like even if they join late, they can, if they watch the recordings and do the reflections, everything can be submitted before November 3rd. We'll count it. So what was if you can through the WhatsApp, you can send me a private message and let me know their name and I'll look them up afterwards to see if I got them, have them in the, if I sent them anything to ask them.
Annalise, are you here?
Probably not. I don't see anyone. It's okay. We can work it out. Like we'll have a little break too, so we can work this. We'll figure it out. I see a hand raised as well. You can speak.
Oh, yes. My question is, if we have, let's say like this summer I volunteered, and my like the person that I volunteered with, they give me a sheet saying that I volunteered for X amount of hours. Can I submit that?
So we really want something within the program of when you signed up, and throughout the program, because it's during this session. However, if you have very clear documentation of something within the summer, and you have somebody, either they write a letter or they can actually pinpoint like, yes, these are the exact hours, you can contact me here. They can send an email to the leadership where you got accepted into the program, have them send an email there, and we'll review it and we can most likely accept it. So Yeah,
Perfect, thank you.
you're welcome. I see 2 hands raised. I didn't see who popped up first.
I think David was first.
Okay. Would you like to go?
Oh, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's fine. It's not like I'm in a rush, but I just wanted to kind of go into detail about this about the volunteering like program in general, like when it comes to like in the future, how do we kind of put it down in our resume? But since you kind of mentioned it earlier, how how you said you would like kind of act sort of like a letter, will we treat like our time with volunteering like a reference, yeah, like a reference letter, or more like a job, like an internship, or is it like a mix in between, depending on, I guess, like how many hours are we putting in? And yeah.
That's an amazing question. I really appreciate you asked that. Volunteering,
Oh.
um, I love volunteering because it helps you build personal and professional skills. And so to the point to your question is it does depend on, you can actually put, I don't know how many of you have started your LinkedIn, and I highly encourage, like if you don't have a LinkedIn, to explore creating one. And our career center, who will be a guest speaker in one of our future workshops, will actually go over that. But there's a section specifically for volunteering, and that's really good for potential employers and internships to see that you have volunteering, because it shows that you're getting experience, but you're not getting anything for it other than just the sake of wanting to volunteer and the experience. And it also can show, it can highlight some of your passions as well, which is, people that are hiring you want to know, like, what is this, who is this person that I'm hiring? What do they like doing? So like on mine, for example, like I love animals. So like I was volunteering a lot at like animal shelters and things like that. So it paints a perspective of like giving you personality when you're applying for different things. So that's one aspect. And the other is like it actually can help you network. So everything that you do is an opportunity to actually help you excel in your prospective career. So I've done volunteering, for example, with like World Health Kitchen, which is an organization, and they were offering like me jobs and things like that. So these things can actually help open up doorways and also give you those additional skills. The president at Lehman College, he actually said he used to do volunteering in an ER, and that actually helped teach him how to navigate crises situations. So when you go to job interviews, you can actually say, like, even if you don't have, if you've never had like a job or something that you feel wasn't like relevant to your prospective, career path that you're going for, you can then talk about that and be like, hey, they'll ask you like, when was a time that like you had a crisis situation, and be like, well, volunteering is a perfectly valid experience to bring up for job interviews. So there's a lot of reasons why volunteering is great.
So you just walk into places that you want to volunteer at, like say if you want to do something like outside of school, that would count, right? So
yeah.
you would just walk into places and just ask if they can use volunteer and then fill out the paper.
Yes. There are a few, so we're very open to whatever volunteering you want to do. I did pull up also 2 links. We have the IPCE office and Jenny Landsman. If you have trouble finding a place, like an organization, we've had students in the past work for their church, volunteer for their church. We'll accept that. It has to be an organization that is established. But Jenny Landsman, you can make an appointment with her, and she could connect you with different volunteering on campus, off campus. We actually have one coming up on campus too, because that's sometimes easier for students. So one that's coming up is we have a speed friending that's coming up. And I'll be putting a lot of these also in the chats. So speed friending is September 26th. If you're interested in this, I'm going to be asking for names and I'll send that to Megan, who's one of our counselors. And this would just be helping like with things like giving out food and you know, registering students for this event. And this is a way to actually help students like connect with other students. It's a social. So there's that. There's also, I know there's a lot of students. If you go to the IPCE, and I'll share these links too. There's different service opportunities at Lehman College. Off campus, short term, long term, virtual, which Jenny is like fully aware of like all the different opportunities. So but yes, long answer to your question. Yes, you can do volunteering off campus with another organization. So yeah. Michelle, I see your hand's been raised for a while.
Thank you. That was one of my questions. What does the volunteering look like? And say like me, I'm already established in volunteering for different organizations. So if I'm already the secretary, does that count or can I use that? Like, or, okay.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we'll accept that. Like
So
just
say
have a,
the League of Women Voters, right?
yeah.
So my time setting up events or all of that can be included, right? But if I
Yes.
wanted to do something additional to get up to the 10 hours, then I can do something on campus. And you're going to send us the different links, or that's going to be part of the Google Classroom?
That'll
Right,
be, yeah, that'll be a part of the Google Classroom. I'll actually put that because we're discussing it now. Oh no.
Okay,
Since we're discussing it now, I'll put it under workshop 1. And I'll
okay,
put the different links, but just because you can go outside the links too. You don't have to use the links. It's just a resource. So if you know of something like that you're already doing, that's a part of
Okay.
an organization, that works too.
okay. And then if we wanted to do the speed friending, because that's just something different, you will gather the names later on in the
Yes.
wasn't
Yeah.
today.
Yep.
All right, thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Okay. Any additional questions on volunteering? Okay, awesome. All right. So WhatsApp group chat. I saw like people already discussing in the chat. I'm very thankful for everybody like helping each other in the chat too, because it's a lot going through all this stuff. But yes, please join our WhatsApp support group. This is a group that actually helps you stay in contact with us if something's happening. It's an easy way to reach me or Brittany or somebody else at Campus Life. I'll also be posting opportunities, not just in Google Classrooms, but also like through WhatsApp, giving reminders as you saw, like for those who are already in the WhatsApp chat, like I was like, oh, the Zoom's open and things like that. So if there's ever like any sort of communication, like, we're running late, there's a tech issue, like you'll be the first to hear through WhatsApp chat. So I highly recommend joining the WhatsApp chat. It's a community for you guys to talk among each other and get the latest information, get support, no deadlines, things like that. So yeah, our WhatsApp chat. And for these PDFs, like these will be clickable when I share the slides in the Google Classrooms. When you get the PDFs, you'll be able to click on these too, so you don't have to share everything with the QR code.
Is there a way to scan QR codes while you're on the phone? Is there a way?
I think there is, but
I just did it, so you can.
Oh.
I just scanned it and I'm on the WhatsApp now.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I can't do it. I don't know.
Okay. Oh. See people joining this stuff.
Oh, you scanned it with another phone?
Yes.
No, I'm talking about if you on the same phone, can you scan? Nah, you can't, right?
I think I just recently, my phone, I have an Android. If you click like the middle button, it'll actually scan the QR codes if you have the picture. So, but I'll send all this stuff again so that you have it. So you don't have to worry. And I'm checking the chat really quick. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you guys for contributing. Yeah. Christian put the WhatsApp there as well. Again. Thank you, Christian. Okay. On that note, we will be going into Introduction to Leadership. Actually,
Shout
before
out to all the real leaders that every time this, what's your name, ma'am?
me,
Yeah.
Emily.
Every time Emily says something, y'all back her up with the chat, in the chat with the links. Oh my God, this is a real team of leaders for real.
These are my people. Yep, I'm truly appreciated. And this is a perfect example. This is what leadership is. So actually that does align perfectly too with this workshop. Because we're going to be talking about one of the first practices of exemplary leadership is model the way. So so yeah, just overview. These are the 5 leadership practices. Each week we will be going over one of these different practices, and then again, as well as public leadership, public speaking. Okay, so icebreaker. For those who feel called to, you can unmute, you can write in the chat your name, your major, any clubs that you have. Also, and then we also have 2 truths, 1 lie, but I think for time's sake, we might skip that one. Unless you want to just share an interesting fact about yourself. So, Brittany, I see your hand raised.
What's up, y'all? You already know my name is Brittany Lanzano, but soon y'all will all know me as Overflow. I create events and such on campus. Speaking of that, my major is digital music design. Okay. And what else? The clubs. I have a club on campus called Urban Unity Lehman. We got our first meet and greet in front of the bookstore on Wednesday from 1:30 to 4:30. Hop out. I could use some hands. I could use some leaders around. And if you want to say something on the mic, come through. And it's just basically to show the vibes that the club gives. So come through and yeah, 2 truths, 1 lie. I'll tell you an interesting fact. I got 2 small children, 3 and 5. My son is 5, he'll be 6 in December, and my daughter is 3. She just turned 3 in August.
Oh, nice. Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you for sharing too. Christian Davila.
Hey everyone, my name is Christian Davila. My major was bio, but it swapped to ABC, which stands for Anthropology, Biology, and Chemistry, track 1. Whew, that was a mouthful. I'm sorry, Emily. Any clubs or affiliations? I am a treasurer for Empower You. I am a secretary for Caribbean Unity. I am part of the Urban Mayor Leadership Program here at Lehman College, or UMLP, and Corre Futuros. And I almost forgot the background and behind me. I am a senator for the Student Government Association, along with my fellow moderator right now, Emily Williams.
Thank you. It's awesome that you're here. I see Christian Toro.
Hello.
Hi, Christian. Would you like to tell us your major and clubs?
My name is Christian Toro. My major is art and drawing, and I have clubs in visualization of film,
Nice. Thanks.
and anime club.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Christian. It's nice to see you here. David Santana.
Hello everyone, good afternoon. I'm David Santana. This is my first year into Lehman College since transferring to Bronx Community. I'm a computer information systems major with a programming track. And some of the few clubs that I've been kind of exploring around the campus so far has been the philosophy and the computer science club, and as well as I just been introduced to the Urban Male League and the Querer Futuros Club by Professor Lazaro, which I think he is like one of the head of, I think, of Querer Futuros. So I'm here to just kind of like just check it out, just see what the school has to offer,
Who is that,
and
Johnny?
no, no, yes, him. Yeah, he was talking about the program, but like last semester, so I went to kind of check it out to see like what's up. But yeah, nice to meet everyone.
Nice to meet you, David. Thank you. I see Adnar was next. Adnar.
Hi, hello. My name is Adner. I'm a freshman. Um, I'm like undeclared. Um, right now, for any like clubs or affiliations, right now, like I'm just checking out everything to see. But really my interest, the club that I'm really interested in is LMC, Lehman Modeling Club. And an interesting fact about me is that I like to throw parties.
Awesome. It's so nice for you to be here. Thank you. Thank you. It's nice to meet you. And I hope we can live up to your expectation. I see Jessica next.
Hi, everyone. It's great meeting everyone today. My name is Jessica, and I am a transfer student from BMCC. This is my first semester here at Lehman. I graduated with my associates in community health education, and I am now going for my bachelor's, majoring in health administration, health services administration with a minor in health education and promotion. I'm not affiliated with any clubs as of yet here at Lehman. I am a public health academy with with BMCC. I'm still with them. And an interesting fact about me would be that I like to explore different cultures through food. That would be a fun fact about me.
Amazing. Yeah, we gotta connect. I actually have an introduction of myself, and yeah, I talk a little bit about that too. So it's nice. Congrats on your graduation, and welcome to Lehman College as well. So I see Michelle is next.
Hi, so hello everyone. My full name is Carrie Michelle Shivers. I'm named after my mother and my grandmother, so I normally just go by Michelle. I am with the graduate program. I'm taking going for my literacy certification. I want to go back into the public classroom as a reading teacher. And a fun fact about me, I went skydiving for my 30th birthday.
That's amazing. How was it?
I loved it. It was the best experience. Everyone should try that at least once in life.
Oh my God. I've always wanted to. I don't think I could right now, because but goals. Awesome. And I see O'Neill next. Oh no, we lost O'Neill. I do see some introductions also in the chat. I see Delilah. Hello, everyone. My name is Delilah. I'm a graduate student majoring in accounting, co-vice president of, it's cutting off my thingy. There we go. Of the Lehman Crystal Queer Club. And then I also see, I can't pronounce your name, Arubia. Sorry if I'm butchering your name. If you feel called to, you can correct me, but the vice president of the Lehman History Club and also majoring in nursing. Amazing. I see Monica has her hand raised.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Monica Howard, and I am a pre-nursing major. I'm also the president of the pre-nursing club. So if there's anyone here who's pre-nursing, well, I'd like to invite you. We're going to be at the club fair on September 25. We're going to have a booth. And I'd also like to meet each and every one of you. I'm very shy, but I know this is a public speaking seminar too, so I need to practice my speaking skills. And one interesting fact about me is I love to play the guitar. And I hope you guys have a nice day.
Amazing. Thank you so much for speaking. Yeah, I talk about that a little bit too, because I started in a similar space. So I'm very happy that you spoke with us today. I'm seeing more people in the chat talk about themselves. Please continue to do so. And I do see one more person, and then we'll continue on after you. Fabricio?
Yes, hi. My name is Fabricio. I am an accounting major. I am a transfer student from WCC. I graduated with my associates. And one interesting fact about me, just is that I love coffee. I'm actually drinking coffee right now. Yeah.
Thank you.
And I'm
for
actually
reminding me.
joining this now because I guess, like she said, I'm actually pretty shy. I guess this is a public speaking. I see some people are very outgoing here, so this seems to gonna be interesting to hear meet some people that are extroverts. You know, when you're an introverted person.
That yes, I can completely agree with that. And thank you for reminding me about coffee, because I have a coffee here and I was like, oh yeah. I'm actually a introvert. I'm very introverted. And so I feel that this workshop, a little bit more in the beginning of the workshop, I do talk about, how to ease into things, so that it becomes easier, to do public speaking. It's definitely a journey. If you told me maybe 5 years ago, like that I'd get used to public speaking and that I could do public speaking, I would have been like, nope, nope, you're born with it or you're not. And that's not true. Anyone can develop these skills. Anyone can be a leader. Anybody can do public speaking. I am a result of that. I did a TED Talk, which, even thinking of that, it's like, huh. I'm incredibly shy. And people, they hear that and they're like, oh, but you're so active and you're always talking and you can, you do all these things. And it's like, but through experience, through different venues, through different tips and skills, I'll be providing some of the things that help me. So hopefully it can actually help you, and try to meet you halfway. Because whenever you join like public speaking, it's always similar, where it's just like, oh yeah, just go out. And it's like sometimes you need to go back further. Some people are just too shy, which I was. So I do see some hands raised still. Are these new questions, or would you like to introduce yourself? Or see, Monica, do you have a comment or?
Yes, hi everyone. My name is Monica Mosquea. I'm trying. Oh, I have my video off. Anyways, okay, so I just recently graduated from my bachelor's from Lehman. I didn't join any clubs. It was a long journey. Graduated, took breaks, went in. Long story short, I'm waiting for the response from the MS in leadership, organizational leadership program. So I do hope to continue my master's in Lehman. So I said, when I saw this on Instagram, I said, okay, let me just sign up so I can keep my mind occupied. Graduated in May, and I don't want my brain to just go blank. So that's why I'm here.
Amazing. Perfect.
What is organizational leadership? What's that?
That's the master's program for Lehman. If you have right now I have a managerial position. I'm a manager in a catering hall. And I have no problem with public speaking, but sometimes I get blanks. So either I'm too excited or I'm not ready. So the program consists of learning about the different types of leadership there is. And what I'm hoping to see is if I learn what kind of leadership I am, how can I be more effective of a leader? So that's a program. It's completely online, and you completed it within a year for the master's degree program.
Yeah, and if anybody's interested in that, I'll put that how to apply for that. As Monica mentioned, it is a master's program, so once you graduate with your BA, you can then go and get a master's degree in leadership, organizational leadership. So yeah, and that is, you know, a degree, a course bearing, credit bearing, actual degree, and it helps you with any job, you know, help you, you know, with management and just anything where they want strong leaders. So this is the foundations of that. So yeah, thank you for sharing, Monica. And I'm glad we could be like that gap bridge for you while you're still waiting. If you haven't heard back from them, please let me know. I can actually reach out to see your status. Maybe stay afterwards, and I can get more of your information and stuff, so we can try to figure that out. So yeah, awesome. So on that note, we will be moving into, do you consider yourself a leader? And this is my all-time favorite TED Talk of all time. Because this, for me, was the gateway to showing me that I had leadership potential. I was already a leader and just did not know it. Because you think of leaders, you think of, you know, somebody who, you know, leads a group and is strong. And it's like, as an introvert, I was like, no, not at all. That's not me. But Drew Dudley, he puts it so eloquently that we already have leadership skills in us, no matter what we're doing. So on that note, I will be playing this video. Let me minimize these other things. And again, I'll be putting these all in the chat for you guys. Everybody here?
Yes.
Yes.
How many of you are completely comfortable with calling yourselves a leader? See, I've asked that question all the way across the country, and everywhere I ask it, no matter where, there's always a huge portion of the audience that won't put up their hand. And I've come to realize that we have made leadership into something bigger than us. We made it into something beyond us. We made it about changing the world. And we've taken this title of leader and we treat it as if it's something that one day we're going to deserve. But to give it to ourselves right now means a level of arrogance or cockiness that we're not comfortable with. And I worry sometimes that we spend so much time celebrating amazing things that hardly anybody can do, that we've convinced ourselves that those are the only things we're celebrating. And we start to devalue the things that we can do every day. And we start to take moments where we truly are a leader, and we don't let ourselves take credit for it, and we don't let ourselves feel good about it. And I've been lucky enough over the last 10 years to work with some amazing people who have helped me redefine leadership in a way that I think has made me happier. And with my short time today, I just want to share with you the one story that is probably most responsible for that redefinition. I went to a school in a little school called Mount Allison University in Sackville, New Brunswick. And on my last day there, a girl came up to me and she said, "I remember the first time that I met you." And then she told me a story that happened 4 years earlier. She said, "On my day before I started university, I was in the hotel room with my mom and my dad, and I was so scared and so convinced that I couldn't do this, that I wasn't ready for university, that I just burst into tears. And my mom and my dad were amazing. They were like, 'Look, we know you're scared, but let's just go tomorrow. Let's go to the first day. And if at any point you feel as if you can't do this, that's fine. Just tell us, we will take you home. We love you no matter what.' And she said, so I went the next day and I was standing in line getting ready for registration, and I looked around and I just knew I couldn't do it. I knew I wasn't ready. I knew I had to quit. And she says, I made that decision, and as soon as I made it, there was this incredible feeling of peace that came over me. And I turned to my mom and my dad to tell them that we needed to go home. And just at that moment, you came out of the Student Union building wearing the stupidest hat I have ever seen in my life. It was awesome. And you had a big sign promoting Shinorama, which is Students Fighting Cystic Fibrosis, a charity I've worked with for years. And you had a bucket full of lollipops. And you were walking along and you were handing the lollipops out to people in line and talking about Shinorama. And all of a sudden, you got to me and you just stopped and you stared. It was creepy. This girl right here knows exactly what I'm talking about. And then you looked at the guy next to me and you smiled and you reached in your bucket, you pulled out a lollipop and you held it out to him. And you said, you need to give a lollipop to the beautiful woman standing next to you. And she said, I have never seen anyone get more embarrassed faster in my life. He turned beet red and he wouldn't even look at me. He just kind of held the lollipop out like this. And I felt so bad for this dude that I took the lollipop. And as soon as I did, you got this incredibly severe look on your face and you looked at my mom and my dad and you said, look at that, look at that. First day away from home, and already she's taking candy from a stranger. And she said everybody lost it. 20 feet in every direction, everyone started to howl. And I know this is cheesy, and I don't know why I'm telling you this, but in that moment when everyone was laughing, I knew that I shouldn't quit. I knew that I was where I was supposed to be, and I knew that I was home. And I haven't spoken to you once in the 4 years since that day, but I heard that you were leaving. And I had to come up and tell you that you've been an incredibly important person in my life, and I'm gonna miss you. Good luck. And she walks away, and I'm flattened. And she gets about 6 feet away, she turns around and smiles and goes, you should probably know this too. I'm still dating that guy 4 years later. A year and a half after I moved to Toronto, I got an invitation to their wedding. Here's the kicker, I don't remember that. I have no recollection of that moment, and I've searched my memory banks because that is funny, and I should remember doing it, and I don't remember it. And that was such an eye-opening, transformative moment for me to think that maybe the biggest impact I'd ever had on anyone's life, a moment that had a woman walk up to a stranger 4 years later and say, you've been an incredibly important person in my life, was a moment that I didn't even remember. How many of you guys have a lollipop moment, a moment where someone said something or did something that you feel fundamentally made your life better? All right. How many of you have told that person they did it? See, why not? We celebrate birthdays where all you have to do is not die for 365 days. And yet we let people who have made our lives better walk around without knowing it. And every single one of you has been the catalyst for a lollipop moment. You have made someone's life better by something that you said or that you did. And if you think you haven't, think about all the hands that didn't go back up when I asked that question. You're just one of the people who hasn't been told. But it is so scary to think of ourselves as that powerful. It can be frightening to think that we can matter that much to other people. Because as long as we make leadership something bigger than us, as long as we keep leadership something beyond us, as long as we make it about changing the world, we give ourselves an excuse not to expect it every day from ourselves and from each other. Marianne Williamson said, our greatest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our greatest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light and not our darkness that frightens us. And my call to action today is that we need to get over that. We need to get over our fear of how extraordinarily powerful we can be in each other's lives. We need to get over it so we can move beyond it. And our little brothers and our little sisters, and one day our kids, or our kids right now, can watch us start to value the impact we can have on each other's lives more than money and power and titles and influence. We need to redefine leadership as being about lollipop moments. How many of them we create, how many of them we acknowledge, how many of them we pay forward, and how many of them we say thank you for. Because we've made leadership about changing the world, and there is no world. There's only 6 billion understandings of it. And if you change one person's understanding of it, one person's understanding of what they're capable of, one person's understanding of how much people care about them, one person's understanding of how powerful an agent for change they can be in this world, you've changed the whole thing. And if we can understand leadership like that, I think if we can redefine leadership like that, I think we can change everything. And it's a simple idea, but I don't think it's a small one. And I want to thank you all so much for letting me share it with you today.
I love that TED Talk so much. How did people like that? What did people think?
Super
Yeah.
inspiring.
Nice. Thank you. And I see Monica also. Love it. Nice. Yeah, this was, I always enjoy watching this because it reminds me, like, it's the simple things, like you are already affecting people, whether you know it or not. You're already making a difference in people's lives. Very charming. Awesome. I see Michelle.
I thought it was encouraging because there was definitely a point in my life when I never considered myself a leader, and I had this box of never what it meant to be a leader, like was it telling someone what to do, not to do, but realizing that our own experiences is leadership, being a mom, being a teacher, being an educator, being in a group. So I like this. Thank you very much for sharing.
You're very welcome. And I love how you mentioned that, being a mom, there's leaders everywhere. You can be a leader no matter what you're doing. So thank you for bringing that up as well. And I'm seeing some amazing responses in the chat too. Thank you so much for responding, everyone. Yeah, a little bit about me, who I am. I know we've gone through an hour already and I've been talking and I didn't introduce myself, and I did that on purpose because it ties into this first session. So who am I? Hello, everyone. I am Emily Willen. I am leadership coordinator at the Office of Campus Life. I also work in the IPC office starting this semester, International Programs and Community Engagement. I work with SGA as the office manager. I also do a lot of the social media campaigning for leadership and campus life and everything else in between. And there's a few other things that I do, but I'm insanely busy. Just being very active. I've studied abroad, and you see in this picture, in this slide of me, the one on the upper left was me the first time I was in Japan. The one below is me feeding a reindeer in Lapland, Finland, and also seeing the aurora borealis. There's cooking classes that I've taken in Italy. But there's also a picture of me in the middle of me in the hospital. And so one of I usually like to start also by saying like the foundation of my past. Some of you that already know me know where I came from. And so I was somebody that was very apprehensive, didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. I ended up in 2009, I got very sick. I started not being able to walk. I was incredibly dizzy, very fatigued. And I also developed seizures that were triggered by sounds. And so even just typing on a keyboard, talking to people, watching TV, I would have a seizure. I was getting up to 40 seizures a day. And my seizures, I was very prone to respiratory arrest. And through time, through patience, through education, I've overcome it. I've since traveled. I was not a traveler before that. And I came back to school and I got my bachelor's, and now I'm taking my master's. And I like to tell my story because I like to share with people no matter what you're going through. It doesn't mean that it's permanent. Things can get better, things will get better. And there's just so much that you can experience, so much, so many people you can affect. Your passions are just as far as you take them. So that's a little bit about me. And so my next question is, why do you think I told my story to you guys? Anybody can either write in the chat or just jump in.
To relate and let us know that no matter, like you said, no matter you can still be a leader. Look at all of the programs. I haven't got my seatbelt on, y'all. Look at all of the programs. I'm gonna put my seatbelt on right now.
Yes.
Look at all of the programs that you are part of. Like, oh my goodness, you are such a leader, and then you manage all of the leaders in the leadership programs. So, I mean, that's inspiring, just as the video we watched.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And I'm seeing a lot of people in the chat too, to trust ourselves. Yes. Having motivated. Yes. I saw O'Neill and then David had hands raised.
To empathizing us.
Yes, that's a really important one too. I actually that's one of my favorite leadership core skills. And I'll talk a little bit about empathy. That's my favorite one. So yes. David, would you like to go?
Yes, so I wanted to just kind of like note how, especially like related to the TED Talk that we last saw, like I think it's really about like how important it is to really just kind of be yourself and just have people just kind of get to know you and learn who you are, because from your experience that was just a regular day for you, it was nothing really in your eyes that unique, other than it was just very difficult. But for someone else, if they understand that, and they kind of see who you are now, that part is what's inspiring, because everybody has like their own trials and their own issues and what have you, but when they see someone that they could like relate to, who could actually uh who has gone through those trials, and they're still, even like to this day, progressing and motivating themselves and trying to better themselves than they were yesterday. I think that part is just kind of being a leader, like like I mentioned, like in philosophy, there's a thing called a philosopher king, which is basically a person who just kind of just does these things without expecting like any kind of like praise or any kind of title or any of that. You just do these things because you want to do it. And if somebody you know gives you that title, it's because they felt that you deserve it. So yeah, like that, I feel like that's what it's kind of like the theme I feel like is kind of going on here.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That you hit the nail on the head. Everybody's response, you're all correct. Like I'm reading in the chat too. Yeah, I'm glad, yeah, you all resonate with that. So yeah, exactly that. And that ties in also with our first model the way as well. Because essentially, a first leadership skill is to actually know who you are, know your I'm already paraphrasing here, but know your story, know your foundations, walking your talk, and then aligning that with the group. Yeah, the first one, exemplary leadership starts with you. So basically a lot of self-reflection and things like that. So who are you? Clarify your values. What do you stand for? What's important to you? What are your core values? And so on that, this is just, not a complete list by any means, but a list of some leadership values. And as mentioned, like empathy, as O'Neill mentioned, empathy, that is like my favorite all time leadership, because I feel that when you have for me personally, it's when you connect with people, people feel heard, they feel valued. And that's really kind of, for me, like what life is all about, is actually getting on people's levels and things like that. So on that note, like just take a look at this list, and if you want to put in the chat any that stands out to you that you're just like, yes, this resonates with me. I really value some of these fun. I value peace. I value whatever you think is something that you strongly align with. So, and if people want to like actually unmute too, you can do that and talk a little bit about why it's important, some of these things. I'm seeing some in the perseverance, yes. Community, yes. Empathy, gratitude, perseverance. Amazing. These are great. Future generations, legacy, tenacious, yes. An interesting thing on a side note for future generations and legacy. I don't know if anybody knows, I'm part indigenous, I'm Chumash and Quechua, and it's a different tribal nation, but first generation, if you've ever heard of like first generation, seventh generation, seventh generation essentially is a term that a lot of indigenous people use, because whatever you're doing in the moment, you want to be able to think ahead 7 generations how it's going to affect them. See grace, independence, patience, honesty, time, learning,
It's a
legacy.
long time to think
Yeah.
ahead.
Yep. Honesty, time, family, yes. Ambitious, confidence, empathy, patience, all wonderful. Self-discipline, kindness, especially towards ourselves. I love that. We are people too. I was a people person, and I always sacrificed myself. So it's just like, oh, I want to please everybody, but keeping in mind that you are a person too. And it's important to be kind to yourself, because I like the teacup
I,
analysis.
one problem I face too, like, cause I had, well, it's not a problem. I don't know if it's a problem, but I delegate some stuff, you know, when I'm a part of clubs or any type of organizations. Like, I fear to delegate instead of doing it myself. Like, sometimes I'll be having I have the officers, I'll have the people on my team, but I still feel like I gotta do it because can't nobody do it like me. So that's one thing I learned as a leader, is how to like trust my people. I'm learning now, but I need to learn more and better how to trust my people to let it happen, you know?
Yeah, that is a challenge. I notice, everybody has their own stuff going on. And so like sometimes it's like, oh, but we need to do this now, or things like that. And so like for this first workshop, this can be a good mindful exercise that you could do. So I talk about it a little bit more in the next few slides, but when you empathize with other people and know their values, then it's a little easier then to delegate tasks to those people, because then it's like, oh, this is something important to you. And so then you can work on something as an organization, as a group together for those things. And knowing that, it makes it a little bit easier, that process. So, yeah.
Like identifying their strengths.
Yeah. Christian, I see your hand raised. What's that, Christian? I can't hear you. There might be some issues. Christian, if you could write in the text when you get a chance. I'm seeing some amazing things still coming in the chat too. So, okay, so my next slide is actually, it's a little bit of a loaded question, but just, was Hitler a leader? What are people's thoughts on this? Why and why not? Was he a leader?
One of the most effective ones in history. I mean, it was a negative one, but he definitely knew how to lead the people to do what he want.
Yep, you you answered it perfectly. Yes. O'Neill, would you like to add something to that?
Professor, I think depends how we define leader. Because if we define leader like someone who worry about you, we can have some difficult things to discuss about that. But if we discover a leader by someone who join the people, maybe in that case, yes, because in Germany he used hate to young people.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, exactly. And I think that, and David, did you want to add anything to that too? And then I'll.
Oh, no, I mean, pretty much, I think Brittany kind of like hit the nail on the head, because to be a leader was to kind of like to to kind of supply, the sense of confidence that people are seeking, and especially during that era when everybody was feeling desperate and everybody just are hopeless and they don't know what to do, and according to their situation, he was bringing on that fire. But that fire just ended up, just kind of inflicting pain, to everyone around them. So yeah, like someone mentioned, like co-leaders, they it's like they kind of it's a matter of how you use your sense of charisma, your sense of charm, and that motivation, to either inspire others or to hurt.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Yeah. And I think this is a good exercise, like a good question to reflect on too, because it's just exactly that. Like, it's taking, something definitely negative, as like Michelle's too mentioned in the chat, a true negative leader. Cult leaders are leaders as well. You're taking something that, going back to the previous slide, is a value, it's a negative value, something that is not ethical or, you know, good, what we consider good, but it still aligns with some people. And if they can then use that, then yeah, then they are leaders too. So it's good to reflect on this, because it's also showing like what positive values and attributes, what do you want to put in that actually comes out in your leadership role, essentially. Brittany, I see your hand raised.
Nah, I just want to say the crazy part about Hitler though that I could remember was that he convinced people to hate people who look just like him. He wanted people to love people with blue eyes and blonde hair and think that they are superior, but he didn't have that. That is, I don't want to say amazing, but that's crazy. That's incredible how he can turn people to make them not even care that he didn't have the thing that he wanted them to worship for, but he wanted them to love. That's crazy.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like I could talk about that more, but but it's like it's yeah. But so yes, so the next step of this is so when you know what's valuable to you, then set that example. And this is a perfect example of like what for Hitler, his values were, you know, people, as you mentioned, like Brittany, as you mentioned, like people that looked a certain way, and that's what was valued. And so he used his voice to affirm those things. So leaders create standards of excellence to set an example for others to follow. So that's something that he did. His actions reflected his core values. And so this is something that Albert Einstein mentioned. Setting an example is not the main means of influencing others. It is the only means. So walking your talk, you know, knowing what is valuable to you, and then actually setting that up as an example to show others. If, for example, for me, animals are important, I'm going to volunteer. And at animal shelters, I'm going to be helping animals that I see on the street that need help. If animals are important to me and I'm not doing those things, then is it really aligned with, you know, my core values that animals are important to me? So, yep, word is bond. Brittany put in the chat, yep. So if anybody would like to share, how are you walking your talk? You can unmute, you could put in the chat. If anybody would like to share how you are walking your talk. And I saw O'Neill's hand raised, and I also see Brittany's hand raised. I don't know if these are from past.
I'll go in a little while. Some other people could go if they want.
Awesome. Thank you, Brittany.
I want to say, I think when it comes to that respect, I think the biggest thing is consistency. I feel like if you believe in one thing, or if you say one thing, you want to make sure that you are repeating yourself tomorrow and next week and next month. You know, I feel like just to a point that, you know, people just kind of can read you, or kind of like, you know, predict, you know, what kind of like opinions or what kind of actions or on how, you know, you would like tackle a subject or anything like that. I feel like takes a lot of discipline in order to have that reflected, you know, in real time, like with your actions, you know. And I think that's also, again, you know, one of those things that would take to be like a leader, because it takes, you know, I guess like a lot of mistakes, you know, to kind of come up to a foundation to be like, okay, I know what I like and I know what I don't like. This is how I want to tackle this thing, you know, or how I don't want to tackle this. And that just comes from like not just practice, but from, you know, understanding your mistakes, understanding what people want from you, to really kind of do it and with confidence, again, like that same consistency. So yeah, I think that's and I feel like that's what I really kind of hold on to this day, because even when it comes down to like studying, you know what I mean? Like we know our our weaknesses and we know what works for us, but what's left is, having to do that consistent thing, to kind of honor that, so to speak, you know, to just kind of keep that going every day.
That's an amazing point, David. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. And to that point, like that, it's important to constantly always like keeping yourself in check, and because your values might change over time. You might learn something different and learn from your mistakes, and then you might need to add to your toolkit of like what is important to you, and so and being consistent with that. So I feel like, yeah, that's part of walking your talk, is leaving yourself almost accountable of those things. O'Neill, you have your hand raised?
I completely agree with David Santana, because I also believe if we continue doing something and don't give up, we can be one example to the others. For example, I remember years ago, one of my goal is learn origami dragons, and I try to see if finally I can do it. And after so many fail, I finally did it. Let me show you my origami dragons. Mhm. Here is. Can you see it?
Let's see. Yes, I see it. If everybody could look at
Yeah.
O'Neill's camera.
Believe me, I failed so many times to finally create my first origami dragon ball. After consistent, I finally did. And I know maybe that is not something really important, but I really believe it's important. If you want something, try to finally complete it.
Yes, amazing. I completely agree. And so like that could probably also be like to tie into also like one of your core values is being um um persevering and consistent, and because then it shows the results, and that's something you're walking your talk by showing that in your origami as well. So Fabricio.
Um, yeah, I also think you need to do it for yourself, and just not do it for other people to see. I think a lot of people say, like you mentioned about like if you care about animals, and like you will go and volunteer for it, but people would do it once and would do it for other people to see. I think that when it comes to like walking your talk, let's say you would do it for yourself.
Yes.
You would do it for something that you like or something that you truly care about, and whether people see it or not, if it would do it for whatever you like, for whatever you love. Doesn't matter whether people see it or whatever, people care about it as much as you do or don't.
Yeah, 100%. Like that, as you were mentioning that, it made me think of, how like on social media, there's like that movement of like don't help homeless people with a camera. Like do it for
Yeah,
do it
exactly.
because
Like a
you
lot of
want.
people would say, I'll give money to the homeless. I care about the homeless, and then would give $5, but then have a camera behind them
Yeah.
and record giving it to them, or give food, and just record it, and just it just doesn't seem genuine.
Yep.
And it never is. I feel like people that do that, it never is.
Yeah.
They do it for views, and it's not. I feel like it could be genuine. A lot of people may do it for other people to do it, for other people to follow the example, but I don't think it is genuine.
Yeah. I completely agree with that 100%. And like thinking in relations with like you just mentioned, like for like encouraging people to do that and things like that. like there might be a few people like that, but going back to your core values, like what is important to you? Is it the views or is it to actually help people? And if it is to actually help people, then how are your actions of doing something like that actually helping the people? Because you're putting them on the spot, you're embarrassing. It could be embarrassing. It's, empathy, thinking of people, like how this would, affect people. So, the self-reflecting of being able to take your core values of what's important to you. There's other ways to do things. So yeah, I feel and doing things like for yourself as well. Like I guess that also ties into what O'Neill was doing, like with the origami, the practice. Like that's something that he can be proud of, and that he's done for himself, of like making the origami. And it shows in his perseverance. So it's not just, these skills are not just to work within groups, but also to help yourself as well. So I like how you tied in a lot of those different concepts of those things. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it also ties with what David said about being disciplined, and being disciplined also means doing it behind closed doors.
Yes.
That not everybody's going to see what you do, whether it's going to be on your own most of the time, and that also it takes discipline.
Yes, 100%. And I think that is one of our one of the skills that was on our list as well. So there are ways, like now that you mentioned that, I feel like I'm having a conversation with you. Open dialogue. There are ways to also like develop these skills, like discipline, and like there are different tools that you can use, like, I like to use like the calendar invites. It helps me stay accountable, gives me discipline to actually, okay, this is on my calendar, I can do these things. There's time management workshops through the Wellness Center at Lehman College and things like that. So in addition to these basic principles for leadership, there are additional skills if you want to build up certain of these additional things like empathy, discipline, perseverance, and things like that. So yeah. So leading on to the next section of like, so you have your values, and then actually listening to other people. What are their values? Do they align with your values? And then when you can actually, when you find people that have similar values, you can discover what's shared values, and then you can work on goals together. And this is what's perfect within group settings. Everybody, essentially, we all have our own lives, we're all doing our own things. But we might have similar values. So say you're in student government association or a club, and you're all like, oh, this is what's important to me. So for student government, a few of us are interested in food insecurity on campus. We know a bunch of students that are food insecure. We do a lot of events where we give out food, if and we know how meaningful it is. And so then by knowing that and sharing that with your group and finding your people, essentially, then you can work on goals together. And that's what actually makes a very effective team, is by working on things together. You then have a group of people that are working towards things. You have support. You could build upon ideas to make to come up with planning to make these things more effective. If something happens, and you can't make it, you still have your team that are also working towards those goals. So being able to understand your goals, the first concept we talked about, listening to other people, finding out their goals in an alignment, and then actually working towards those in the group is is essentially the first modeling the way. So on that note, I think we already did a bunch of these things. So why is it important to hear other people's values? How does it feel when others hear you? And then what are benefits of having shared values? Instead of reflecting on this, I just wanted to mention these things because I want to be conscious of time, because we only have about 30 more minutes and we still have the public speaking. So I want to be able to be conscious and get through those, but just to mention those things. So, just think for a moment of how does it feel when other people hear you? And by thinking of that, it can actually help put into perspective of why it's important then to be hearing other people as well and working towards those different values. What are the benefits of having shared values? So, okay, and this is kind of just like a paraphrase, a little bit, a summary of what we were discussing. Understand your own values and share them with other people. Search for a common ground between your values and those of your colleagues and organization, and then do what you say you're going to do. So it's essentially walking your talk, but then also walking your talk within your group. So, and then this one I think might be nice if we share a little bit. Would anyone like to share of a situation where you were a leader? And it's leader is not a title or a role. It's just in any situation. I could think of one where O'Neill and Christian were helping me just earlier in the session, just taking it and helping me with putting links in the chat. That was a very leader thing to do. And thank you again for that. And I believe it was Michelle that mentioned being a mother, those are all situations of being a leader. O'Neill, you have your hand raised?
I'm not sure if that can be one example, but I believe when we consider what we do and analyze to see what we can do better in the future, that can be one form. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that works. That aligns with this. Yeah. It's thinking of the future because future is improving our situations for the now. It can involve other people. So amazing. So this is an optional thing. If you choose, oh, David, you have your hand raised. I'd like to hear.
Yeah, like I just was thinking about a time where like last semester when I kind of helped like organize like a simple like WhatsApp group chat in order to kind of help, like prepare for like finals and things like that, like, and there was just a lot of like coordinating involved, like just kind of like understanding like what this guy like needed to help like help like study with, like what was the weak points and having to go over, different lectures, and I guess just having like I don't know, just kind of being like just like the middleman or whatever to just kind of help, I guess like organize and kind of like compile all of this information in a way where we could be like, okay, in order to like everybody, I guess like to pass, this is what we gotta do. And I guess it's like small things like that, I guess that would be like a leadership role, just someone just kind of taking up, so who just decides to like help like or rather kind of go out of their way to just kind of, like just see what is everybody up to because I don't know, because there's just so many different ways where, like at times where, we do like different study groups, right? So it's like that's always kind of hesitating because it was like, but I think just the simple fact that you organizing, a group study session is enough.
Yes, definitely. It's all working towards the common goal of the aftermath of like the study session. I actually before I was into health, my major is in the health fields. I worked in high school. I was in high school of art and design, and I did advertising and I did film media. And the person behind the camera is just as important, if not, it all helps get that message apart. It's not just the director. We always hear the director, the actors, but everybody plays that part into actually having the common goal of getting this message out to people. So I could see that as it relates to your story. So yeah, definitely a leadership role of like you coming up with that final thing to help. So yeah, thank you for sharing. So this next slide is optional if you want to do this. We'll do it on another time because you will get these slides again. If you want to take a personality test to see what kind of leader you are, you can scan the QR code or go to it's 16 personalities, and this is based off of a lot of studies that actually can analyze people based on like your essentially your core values, and it'll actually show like what kind of leader you are and like different things of like your leadership style and what are things that can help you better your leadership style. I'm an empathic leader naturally, so an introvert empathic, so it's kind of cool to do. So just something, if you want to do it, you can do it. So yes, I can put the link in chat. Copy and paste. There you go. Okay, on that note, we are now into public speaking with 20 minutes to spare. I do have 2 videos in this module. It's not as long as some of the other modules for public speaking because I wanted today to be just more of like getting to know each other and things like that. So public speaking, the why. So why is public speaking important? Instead of this being an open-ended question, to me, public speaking is important. And you can put in the chat too. It's very engaging. Public speaking to me is important because if you have these core values, if you have passions, how can you work towards a common goal? How can you make any effective change if you're not speaking, if you're not conveying that to the world, if you're not working with people? We are in a society where you need to collaborate with people. And so public speaking is a very important, essential tool to have. I guess if David or O'Neill, because since you have your hands raised, if you want to keep it short, if you want to comment. I say on the public speaking part.
David first.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, just a technical. Yeah, just to like keep it brief. Oh, hold on.
Yeah, no
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Let me see which slide.
Yes, David.
Oh yeah, whatever. My camera. Sorry. But yeah, I think it's like it's just important because I think we just because I think it's just important for someone to just being able to express themselves, and being able to be heard and have people hear them, just having just that simple communication exchange, just simply put, I think it's just important, you know, because there's like, because then otherwise I just feel like it's like in one shape or form, it can be like very isolating, when you're not really kind of expressing yourself, to others, not even necessarily like in a leadership role, but just expressing yourself for you, you know. And I think if it's like because there's no negatives to having to being able to to relate to another person really at the end of the day, because that's just what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with that. Yeah, especially like tying back to my story. It was very isolating. So yeah, that resonates with me a lot. O'Neill, would you like to speak?
I think also one of the important part of speaking in public is give you the opportunity to communicate with a lot of people. I know maybe it's something basic, but I really think it's something important because you can have more visibility with other in different importance points. Like for example, the issue or problem of your communities you speak in public is more probably do something about the problem and had more visibility about what is happening.
Yeah, I like how you mentioned that too, because especially like working in like the community and things like that. And a part of public speaking is communication. And so that's actually part of one of the videos that I want to share you, not the next one, but one of the last ones, is how to be a good listener, how to communicate effectively, because that is the very foundations of public speaking. So thank you for mentioning that, O'Neill.
You're welcome.
So on that, I'm going to share another TED Talk video that I really like. I love Simon Sinek. He's
Hey,
amazing.
what? I think we see that
We
video
have,
in the.
yes.
Yes.
So let me share this. I'm not going to play the whole thing for people, but it's more of the why. Why do companies do certain things? This actually might tie into what Suzette's talking about next week. She's going to be facilitating next week's intro to leadership section, but you'll get a little bit now too, because it ties into why we do things, why we communicate, and it's a good skill to have when you're focusing on your communication of the why. So I'll play a little bit of this.
We assume even we know why we do what we do. But then how do you explain when things don't go as we assume? Or better, how do you explain when others are able to achieve things that seem to defy all of the assumptions? For example, why is Apple so innovative? Year after year after year after year, they're more innovative than all their competition. And yet they're just a computer company. They're just like everyone else. They have the same access to the same talent, the same agencies, the same consultants, the same media. Then why is it that they seem to have something different? Why is it that Martin Luther King led the civil rights movement? He wasn't the only man who suffered in a pre-civil rights America, and he certainly wasn't the only great orator of the day. Why him? And why is it that the Wright brothers were able to figure out controlled powered manned flight when there were certainly other teams who were better qualified, better funded, and they didn't achieve powered manned flight, and the Wright brothers beat them to it? There's something else at play here. About 3.5 years ago, I made a discovery, and this discovery profoundly changed my view on how I thought the world worked, and it even profoundly changed the way in which I operate in it. As it turns out, there's a pattern. As it turns out, all the great and inspiring leaders and organizations in the world, whether it's Apple or Martin Luther King or the Wright brothers, they all think, act, and communicate the exact same way, and it's the complete opposite to everyone else. All I did was codify it.
That first meeting changed everything. We're just trying to figure it out.
What do you want life to look like when the kids are on their own one day?
I don't like when they don't have this kid.
Northwestern Mutual, a better way to money.
Almost done at least. Okay.
And it's probably the world's simplest idea. I call it the golden circle. Why, how, what? This little idea explains why some organizations and some leaders are able to inspire where others aren't. Let me define the terms really quickly. Every single person, every single organization on the planet knows what they do, 100%. Some know how they do it, whether you call it your differentiating value proposition or your proprietary process or your USP. But very, very few people or organizations know why they do what they do. And by why, I don't mean to make a profit. That's a result. It's always a result. By why, I mean what's your purpose? What's your cause? What's your belief? Why does your organization exist? Well, as a result, the way we think, the way we act, the way we communicate is from the outside in. It's obvious. We go from the clearest thing to the fuzziest thing. But the inspired leaders and the inspired organizations, regardless of their size, regardless of their industry, all think, act, and communicate from the inside out. Let me give you an example. I use Apple because they're easy to understand and everybody gets it. If Apple were like everyone else, a marketing message from them might sound like this. We make great computers. They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? Meh. And that's how most of us communicate. That's how most marketing is done, that's how most sales is done, and that's how most of us communicate interpersonally. We say what we do, we say how we're different or how we better, and we expect some sort of behavior, a purchase, a vote, something like that. Here's our new law firm. We have the best lawyers with the biggest clients. We have, we always perform for our clients, do business with us. Here's our new car. It gets great gas mileage. It has, leather seats. Buy our car. But it's uninspiring. Here's how Apple actually communicates. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? Totally different, right? You ready to buy a computer from me? All I did was reverse the order of the information. People don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. This explains why every single person in this room is perfectly comfortable buying a computer from Apple. But we're also perfectly comfortable buying an MP3 player from Apple, or a phone from Apple, or a DVR from Apple. But as I said before, Apple's just a computer company. There's nothing that distinguishes them structurally from any of their competitors. Their competitors are all equally qualified to make all of these products. In fact, they tried. A few years ago, Gateway came out with flat screen TVs. They're eminently qualified to make flat screen TVs. They've been making flat screen monitors for years. Nobody bought one. Dell came out with MP3 players and PDAs. And they make great quality products, and they can make perfectly well-designed products. And nobody bought one. In fact, talking about it now, we can't even imagine buying an MP3 player from Dell. Why would you buy an MP3 player from a computer company? But we do it every day. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. The goal is not to do business with everybody who needs what you have. The goal is to do business with people who believe what you believe.
So on that note, I love that because that not only ties in with our leadership, ethics, but also how to give a great speech. Why are you communicating certain things? So similar to my introduction of why I was talking about my past, it is to inspire people. It is to motivate people that they can get through things. So just something when you are giving a speech, you want to have that at the first and foremost of why you're giving a speech and keeping that in mind. It differentiates you from other people. So let me adjust this. So, because we have less than 10 minutes and I want to be very conscious of other people's time, I'm going to shift around some of these things and try to rush through this so you get all this information. So I want you to just think what is important to you, because public speaking is an extension of the knowledge that you're sharing. So what information do you have that others can benefit from? This is essentially what people want to hear. This is essentially how you're helping people. This is essentially why you're motivating to speak. This is something that I've kept in mind when I first started doing public speaking, because as I mentioned, I hated public speaking. I, just despised it terribly. And so I had, things that helped me, get through school, get through services and things like that, help me with my health, things like that. And so that's actually what motivated me. It's if I speak up to these people, they can benefit from this too. And so keeping that little thought in the back of my mind actually made it easier for me to start speaking to people. What information do you have that can help people? And so just to share a little bit of my public speaking story, I started out very small. If people want to actually watch this on your own time, you can. This was one of my first public speaking things. We did through the Leadership Center. We had an advanced leadership where we had to do a capstone project. And it was the start of the pandemic. I did container gardening workshop because food insecurity was a huge thing for people. So it's like you can literally grow your own food in your apartment, and here's how. So working with that, it was doing virtual workshops, completely acceptable to get you used to the format of public speaking. Start where you're at. You know yourself best. So hosting virtual workshops, doing Instagram Live, tabling at events if you're a part of a club, not even just presenting, but tabling, talking to people, engaging the people. These are all ways to start getting a little bit used to talking with people and engaging with people. And it is considered a part of public speaking. Doing poetry slams, speaking in front of the class, making announcements. And these are all examples of things that I've done myself. And then building on your experience. What experience do you have? What do you know? I've spoken at the leadership retreat. If anybody's interested, we have them open, a leadership retreat to upstate New York. That is in 2 weeks. I'll share that in the chat. If anybody is interested, you're qualified to go. We pay for a full weekend for you, and we actually develop these skills, further leadership skills in you. So I've spoken in front of that audience. I've spoken at new student orientation where we've had 800 students, and I've spoken, there's a picture of me at my TED Talk. So I've started out small, and then you work on your experience and you talk about what you know. I'm going to come back to this video because I do want to be conscious of people's times of who has to leave and whatnot, and we'll end with this. And then whoever has to leave right on time at 5 o'clock, you can watch it on your own time. This is essentially conversations, how to be a good listener, and whatnot. This is about 10 minutes though, so I'm going to actually come back to this, and I'm going to race through everything else so that you could get everything else, because I really want to be conscious of time, of people's, because I value people being here, making the time to be here. So active listening is one of the most important skills that you can have. It is essentially connected to public speaking. We essentially get information from speaking with others. So it's an important skill to have. Again, I'm going to be racing through these, and these are things, I wrote them a little bit so that you guys can actually, they're more like lesson plans. So you could take this quiz on your own to see where you're standing right now as an active listener. How to become an active listener, simple steps of paying attention, giving the speaker your undivided attention, not having your phone, checking messages. If somebody is sending me messages in my WhatsApp, I'm not paying attention to that at all. I'm fully divided, undivided attention to you guys because I am present here. I'm trying to be available for you people right now. And that's a part of being an active listener, is being present, and being genuinely interested in what people say, because that is how you learn. That is how you open yourself up. And then when you're in a conversation, asking open-ended questions. So instead of asking things where you would expect like a one-word answer, like, are you okay? Where people could be like, yes or no, you're not really getting a lot of information, but if you have it open to like, how are you? That can actually have, lead the opportunity of people actually exploring, and you find out like, yeah, I'm kind of like, and this is happening and stuff like that. So you actually get more out of people by having open-ended questions. O'Neill, if you can hold your question for after, because we only have 2 minutes and I really want to make sure we get through this.
Okay.
Thank you. And this is something also to go over in your spare time, of conversation responses. It's very difficult to not respond like judgmentally or things like that, because if and this goes back to like your core values, your ethics. But again, if we're not open to hearing other people, how are we learning from them? How can we actually get through to them if we want to, sway their minds or things like that? I know we have presidential stuff coming up. So instead of just being like, nope, you're wrong, these are actually exercises to actually keep in mind when speaking with people. And then whenever you talk to people, also reflecting back, what they just said, reflecting how you feel. Because then people then could say, oh yeah, you got it. Or like, they can elaborate, or you can actually like, build on those core values of like how you're feeling and things like that. This is an optional challenge that I have for everybody if you're not a part of a club or on campus, because this will helping to build your skills. Find a club or a club event on campus, on Club Central, that you could participate in. We have Club Fair coming up on the 25th. See if you could be a part of that, so that you could start talking to people and start building that experience. It's these little baby steps that actually become the foundation. Once you start walking, you're going to be able to go further. You won't even realize it. On that note, I am going to put in the chat the attendance, and then I'm going to also start sharing the last video. If people have to go because it's 5 o'clock, you are more than welcome to leave. Just make sure to fill out the attendance. I just put it in the chat. If you value these lessons and want to stay and listen to this last TED Talk on 10 ways to have a better conversation, you can stick around. I'll leave this open for the next 11 minutes until it runs. If you have any questions after, you can ask. Thank you, Christian. Christian put to come. They have a welcome reception. If you have any club stuff coming up, you can put in the chat. You're more than welcome to. So yeah, on that note, I will play the video. If you have any questions in the chat in the meantime, I will respond to them. But thank you all for coming for our first workshop. Congratulations on completing your first workshop. I hope you enjoyed it. And yes, I will play this video.
All right, I want to see a show of hands. How many of you have unfriended someone on Facebook because they said something offensive about politics or religion, childcare, food? And how many of you know at least one person that you avoid because you just don't want to talk to them? You know, it used to be that in order to have a polite conversation, we just had to follow the advice of Henry Higgins in My Fair Lady, stick to the weather and your health. But these days, with climate change and anti-vaxxing, those subjects are not safe either. So this world that we live in, this world in which every conversation has the potential to devolve into an argument, where our politicians can't speak to one another, and where even the most trivial of issues have someone fighting both passionately for it and against it, it's not normal. Pew Research did a study of 10,000 American adults, and they found that at this moment, we are more polarized, we are more divided than we ever have been in history. We're less likely to compromise, which means we're not listening to each other, and we make decisions about where to live, who to marry, and even who our friends are going to be based on what we already believe. Again, that means we're not listening to each other. A conversation requires a balance between talking and listening, and somewhere along the way we lost that balance. Now, part of that is due to technology, the smartphones that you all either have in your hands or close enough that you could grab them really quickly. According to Pew Research, about 1/3 of American teenagers send more than 100 texts a day. And many of them, almost most of them, are more likely to text their friends than they are to talk to them face to face. There's this great piece in The Atlantic. It was written by a high school teacher named Paul Barnwell. And he gave his kids a communication project. He wanted to teach them how to speak on a specific subject without using notes. And he said this: I came to realize that conversational competence might be the single most overlooked skill we fail to teach. Kids spend hours each day engaging with ideas and each other through screens, but rarely do they have an opportunity to hone their interpersonal communication skills. It might sound like a funny question, but we have to ask ourselves, is there any 21st century skill more important than being able to sustain coherent, confident conversation? Now, I make my living talking to people. Nobel Prize winners, truck drivers, billionaires, kindergarten teachers, heads of state, plumbers. I talk to people that I like. I talk to people that I don't like. I talk to some people that I disagree with deeply on a personal level, but I still have a great conversation with them. So I'd like to spend the next 10 minutes or so teaching you how to talk and how to listen. Many of you have already heard a lot of advice on this. Things like look the person in the eye, think of interesting topics to discuss in advance, nod and smile to show that you're paying attention. Repeat back what you just heard or summarize it. So I want you to forget all of that. It is crap. There is no reason to learn how to show you're paying attention if you are, in fact, paying attention. Now, I actually use the exact same skills as a professional interviewer that I do in regular life. So I'm going to teach you how to interview people, and that's actually going to help you learn how to be better conversationalists. Learn to have a conversation without wasting your time, without getting bored, and please God, without offending anybody. We've all had really great conversations. We've had them before. We know what it's like. The kind of conversation where you walk away feeling engaged and inspired, or where you feel like you've made a real connection or you've been perfectly understood. There is no reason why most of your interactions can't be like that. So I have 10 basic rules. I'm going to walk you through all of them, but honestly, if you just choose one of them and master it, you're already going to enjoy better conversations. Number 1, don't multitask. And I don't mean just set down your cell phone or your tablet or your car keys or whatever's in your hand. I mean, be present. Be in that moment. Don't be thinking about your argument you have with your boss. Don't be thinking about what you're going to have for dinner. If you want to get out of the conversation, get out of the conversation. But don't be half in it and half out of it. Number 2, don't pontificate. If you wanted to state your opinion without any opportunity for response or argument or pushback or growth, write a blog. Now, there's a really good reason why I don't allow pundits on my show, because they're really boring. If they're a conservative, they're going to hate Obama and food stamps and abortion. If they're a liberal, they're going to hate big banks and oil corporations and Dick Cheney. Totally predictable. And you don't want to be like that. You need to enter every conversation assuming that you have something to learn. The famed therapist Eb Scott Peck said that true listening requires a setting aside of oneself. And sometimes that means setting aside your personal opinion. He said that sensing this acceptance, the speaker will become less and less vulnerable and more likely to open up the inner recesses of his or her mind to the listener. Again, assume that you have something to learn. Bill Nye, everyone you will ever meet knows something that you don't. I put it this way, everybody is an expert in something. Number 3, use open-ended questions. In this case, take a cue from journalists. Start your questions with who, what, where, when, why, or how. If you put in a complicated question, you're going to get a simple answer out. If I ask you, were you terrified? You're going to respond to the most powerful word in that sentence, which is terrified. And the answer is, yes, I was, or no, I wasn't. Were you angry? Yes, I was very angry. Let them describe it. They're the ones that know. Try asking them things like, what was that like? How did that feel? Because then they might have to stop for a moment and think about it. And you're going to get a much more interesting response. Number 4, go with the flow. That means thoughts will come into your mind and you need to let them go out of your mind. We've heard interviews often in which a guest is talking for several minutes and then the host comes back in and asks a question which seems like it comes out of nowhere or it's already been answered. That means the host probably stopped listening 2 minutes ago because he thought of this really clever question and he was just bound and determined to say that. And we do the exact same thing. We're sitting there having a conversation with someone and then we remember that time that we met Hugh Jackman in a coffee shop. And we stop listening. Stories and ideas are going to come to you. You need to let them come and let them go. Number 5, if you don't know, say that you don't know. Now, people on the radio, especially on NPR, are much more aware that they're going on the record. And so they're more careful about what they claim to be an expert in and what they claim to know for sure. Do that. Err on the side of caution. Talk should not be cheap. Number 6, don't equate your experience with theirs. If they're talking about having lost a family member, don't start talking about the time that you lost a family member. If they're talking about the trouble that they're having at work, don't tell them about how much you hate your job. It's not the same. It is never the same. All experiences are individual. And more importantly, it is not about you. You don't need to take that moment to prove how amazing you are or how much you've suffered. Somebody asked Stephen Hawking once what his IQ was, and he says, I have no idea. People who brag about their IQs are losers. Conversations are not a promotional opportunity. Number 7, try not to repeat yourself. It's condescending and it's really boring. And we tend to do it a lot, especially in work conversations or in conversations with our kids. We have a point to make, so we just keep rephrasing it over and over. Don't do that. Number 8, stay out of the weeds. Frankly, people don't care about the years, the names, the dates, all those details that you're struggling to come up with in your mind. They don't care. What they care about is you. They care about what you're like, what you have in common. So forget the details. Leave them out. Number 9, this is not the last one, but it is the most important one. Listen. I cannot tell you how many really important people have said that listening is perhaps the number one most important skill that you could develop. Buddha said, and I'm paraphrasing, if your mouth is open, you're not learning. And Calvin Coolidge said, no man ever listened his way out of a job. Why do we not listen to each other? Number 1, we'd rather talk. When I'm talking, I'm in control. I don't have to hear anything I'm not interested in. I'm the center of attention. I can bolster my own identity. But there's another reason. We get distracted. The average person talks at about 225 words per minute, but we can listen at up to 500 words per minute. So our minds are filling in those other 275 words. And look, I know it takes effort and energy to actually pay attention to someone. But if you can't do that, you're not in a conversation. You're just two people shouting out barely related sentences in the same place. You have to listen to one another. Stephen Covey said it very beautifully. He said, most of us don't listen with the intent to understand. We listen with the intent to reply. One more rule, and number 10, and it's this one. Be brief. All of this boils down to the same basic concept, and it is this one. Be interested in other people. You know, I grew up with a very famous grandfather, and there was kind of a ritual in my home. People would come over to talk to my grandparents, and after they would leave, my mother would come over to us and she'd say, do you know who that was? She was the runner-up to Miss America. He was the mayor of Sacramento. She won a Pulitzer Prize. He's a Russian ballet dancer. And I kind of grew up assuming everyone has some hidden amazing thing about them. And honestly, I think it's what makes me a better host. I keep my mouth shut as often as I possibly can. I keep my mind open, and I'm always prepared to be amazed, and I'm never disappointed. You do the same thing. Go out, talk to people, listen to people, and most importantly, be prepared to be amazed. Thanks.
Okay. I caught it quick. Okay. On that note, thank you all for those who stayed. I hope you enjoyed this first workshop. If anybody has any final questions, we can answer now, or yeah, let's see. Oh, Perry, bye. The retreat. Yes, retreat. I see. Okay. So
Hello.
Hi, Christian. I hear you.
I have a question. Did you got the recording, or do you have like the YouTube? Can you show the YouTube videos on it so I can look at it?
Yes. I will be sharing. Are you a part of the Google Classroom?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna be sharing those when I end the workshop, the recording. I'll be posting that, and you'll get a message in your email that says it's been posted.
Okay.
Yeah, no problem. I got a message on leadership retreat. I put the link just now in the chat. Go there and it will be fall 2024 leadership weekend retreat application. So if you would like to go on the leadership retreat, you can go there and fill it out. And thank you for a great presentation. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you for the workshop. Oh, these were nice. Thank you guys. I appreciate your words. Google Classroom. All right, so let me go back to Google Classroom. And let me put one more time the attendance. Please make sure to fill out the attendance because that is how I am. That is how we are tracking your attendance. So I put the attendance on there. And then for the Google Classroom Introduction to Leadership.
Did he just? What did he do? Oh, he breaks. What did he do?
Okay, so Google Classroom, I put the link in there if you have not joined already. You can join through there. Okay. I hope that helps. You're very welcome. Okay. And O'Neill, I saw your hand raised before. Do you have a question? Good night.
I want to say thank you so much for the announcement and thank you so much for the introduction of the program. I'm really excited to take this opportunity and see how much I can learn with us.
Thank you so much. I really
And have a great day to everyone.
Thank you. Yes, everybody
Thank
have a great
you.
day.
Thank you. Have a great day. This was excellent. Thank you. Bye.
Glad to hear it.
Have a great day too.
I'll see you all next week if there's no other further questions.
See you next week, guys.
Monica, did you have a question or you're saying bye?
For the master's thing, you were gonna check for me
Oh,
something?
yes, the masters. So let me, thank you.
Or
What is your Britain, Monica? Okay, I'm gonna send an email to, let me write down your name, or I'll take a picture of your name. So then I'll follow up. And you registered for the workshop, this workshop, correct?
for this workshop, yeah, I registered from Instagram. I saw the link.
Okay, so then I have your information. I'll follow up in an email. And I'll reach out to them and say, like, what's the step? When did you apply?
I applied in June, and I guess it didn't go through. I didn't submit it or something, and I did it like last month again.
Okay. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so I'll follow up with them and see what's
No
the
problem.
status. Okay. Awesome.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you
your-
for reminding me.
Have a great day.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you too. Bye. Bye everyone. See you next week.